2, and 1.
What's going on, motherfuckers? Every Damn Day Fitness Live. We have my beautiful wife, Dame Serenity, also known as Crystal Roberts, and Dash from Swolenormous on. If you haven't subscribed to Dash's channel, please do. So we just thought we'd come on live today. We're going to have kind of a fitness roundtable. It's something I'm going to do a little bit more often. I haven't been live on this channel since they almost took it away from me about a year and a half ago, which was fucking crazy because it almost got taken away. But I just wanted to, come on live. We're going to talk about Topia and fat acceptance and Weight Watchers for kids, all sorts of shit. So first of all, to my lovely wife, Crystal, why don't you tell them a bit about yourself?
Okay. So Damn Serenity Athletics is my website, and I offer online classes, yoga, Pilates, TRX, all different types of stuff, HIIT training. Helping people get healthy and fit is my passion. And
you're a newly certified food addiction coach, aren't you? Just like I am.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. That's awesome.
Super excited about that.
All right, and Swolenormous. I think people that have watched my stuff watch your stuff, and so. But why don't you introduce yourself anyway?
My name is Papa Swolio, and I am the host of the Daily Swole podcast, and a lot of you probably saw Alan yesterday on the Daily Swole. I run a fitness media company, so I do podcasts, I do videos, I have a private member site, swolenormousx.com, so I do all sorts of stuff, and if you don't know, now you know.
Oops, I just moved myself on a camera. Here we go.
There you go.
I'm back on now. Here we go.
Big and beautiful.
Yeah, there we go. Big and beautiful.
Yeah.
Epic, two of my favorites, and Mrs. Roberts. We got all sorts of people talking. Yeah. So, we're gonna do and Crystal, you would be awesome if you were in it too. But we're gonna do, when we go to Florida, we're gonna do a live rage car rage, or either live or we're gonna do a car rage, which is gonna be fucking fun as shit. How did you get started doing that, dude?
I was.
I tell you what, I found you because people were sending Crystal and I messages that you were copying me, and I'm like, fuck, he's just totally different shit. First of all, he's driving like a fucking maniac.
First time he's in the car. I've only, surprisingly, I've only had a couple people, like maybe 1 or 2 comments. I don't read through the comments often, but say that, you shouldn't be doing that while you're driving. I literally do that rolling to the gym, like maybe going 15. Not that that's an excuse, but I wear my glasses. I'm completely looking at the road. I'm not looking at the camera at all. But I started doing it because I was still doing some private training. I was still doing some stuff on the side while I was building this. So I had the idea. I started doing the podcast, but I actually started doing the driving while gaining before I started doing the podcast, and it was just to save time. I was in the car and I was driving, and I figured I would shoot and record while I was driving and save some time. I just started recording content, and then, they're horrific. They're still on YouTube if you want to hunt those down. Terrible edits, and it's just gone from there.
I think that's how I got started too. I mean, is that like, it's just a matter of time, especially when I was still doing the corporate thing, the whole concept of it was just like, what time do we have? So just just so that everybody know, we're not going to read too many of the questions in the comments section, but I'm going to read this. I'm going to ask Crystal this one, and they're asking us why our cat is overweight.
Because she steals all the other cats' food, the dog's food. She steals everyone's food.
But is she healthy? Crazy. Is she healthy at that size?
Is she healthy at that size?
No.
She's not. No. She is the worst at catting. Like she can't jump on shit and stuff. It's very, very, very bad. So
very cute though.
Yeah, she's adorable, but damn, she just cannot fucking do anything.
Beautiful. She's just not healthy.
Yeah. People ask me to do how the fuck you doing, Vince? So how the fuck you doing, Vince? Besides that, somebody just donated $2 for the cat.
I don't get donations.
You don't get donations?
I got to turn that donation game on. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I'm going to tell people right now, you guys don't need to donate to this. You really, really don't. Because we're going to, you don't need to, and I'm not expecting it. In fact, I'm going to kind of ask you not to. Reality is, I appreciate that stuff, but in the same right, I'm not going to have it where a lot of times when people donate, they want a question answered, and we're not going to do that on this. Yeah. So I don't really want that to happen, so please don't donate. I know that sounds contra, but we do a lot of that. Crystal, want to tell, like, that's how the whole Fatopia thing came across. What was your, like, when we got the email for that? When they were offering us money? What was your thought process on that?
That I was really interested in watching the documentary. Wasn't interested in them paying us to, promote it in any way. I was looking forward to watching it. I wanted to see what it was like.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, Dash, like we think you do similar stuff where it's like we really want to make sure that like the message is actually getting out there. Like anybody, like we've had enough of the. And don't be wrong, we still like to entertain, and like Crystal enjoys the funny stuff too. Although we're going to talk about that real quick because there's a bunch of people asking about Tyrone. Just for reference, Crystal is to blame why there weren't as many Tyrone videos for a while. Go ahead and tell them about that.
I felt bad for him. I just felt like you were picking on this little kid. But then I saw a video of him like making fun of other people and being really mean, and I was like, okay, never mind.
Get him. So
go ahead.
Go ahead. So, Dash, how do you find targets? Basically, people say we target people, so we might as well just accept that. How do you find the people?
First off, they target themselves by when you put stuff out online, you are opening yourself up to criticism. If you write an article for the New York Times, people are going to critique it. If you make a movie, there are people literally called critics that will rip your movie apart if it sucks. Or if they don't like it, it's their opinion. Just like your stuff, Alan, and your opinion, of course. This is just us. It's like a dialogue that's running, and it's kind of like a running commentary that just goes over everything that's happening in the world, fitness industry. It's just the news, but no one really does it. You have that stuff on YouTube. I mean, I don't watch it all, but like that drama alert, there's like YouTube drama, and there's channels that report the news, and there's movie channels and movie reviews. It's the same thing as a newspaper. It's just with video. So what we're doing is we're just really writing like an editorial where we have our own opinion column, and that we're just doing it in video form. So when someone puts a video on the YouTube, anywhere from 0 to 100 million people can look at it. So,
right.
You don't know when something's going to go viral. So if someone makes a video, whether they get 100 views, whether they're a man or a woman, black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. Like, they leave themselves open to criticism. And of course, people can drop comments below, and we all know on YouTube that they certainly will. So, it's all the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same thing too. Like I often say this, like we narrate what people do, we narrate people's idiot moments, and like people don't get, just so everybody, for the record, Crystal, do I not talk to you about every video before I make it?
Absolutely. We talk about them in length.
Yeah, like I mean that's the thing. It to me, like, it's a matter of making sure that people don't just put bullshit out. Like, I mean, it really, really is. And I find it amazing sometimes how often people get ass hurt by it. Like, I mean, like, what's the worst, like, troll type comment shit you've gotten, Dash?
So I can say whatever I want here, right?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Like, whatever I want.
Yeah.
The troll type comment. I mean, I get the same. I get sometimes people just talking. I mean, you get like the same vegan stuff, this and the other. I guess like some comments I've gotten were, I bet your boyfriend grabs that man bun when he's slamming your head down on his dick. So I get that with the long hair and the beard, but that's funny. I mean, literally, that's a troll comment, but it's like the stupid thing going after looks. It's weak, but I don't really, I mean, amazingly enough, as inappropriate as that is, Alan, like you and I generally get a ton of positive feedback. Like it's abnormal, and we talked about that yesterday on my podcast. It's abnormal how positive the like to dislike ratio is with these controversial topics, because a lot of people deliver the same not the same content, obviously, but they'll deliver topics and they get ripped apart. They'll have like major things coming down the pipeline, but when we do it, get like seven thumbs down, and it's because the message is pure. Like, your intention comes across, even if you're swearing, even if I'm swearing. It's like there's this element of self-depreciation and like that humor. Like, you're not taking it too seriously, but you're spreading an important message. So you're not saying that you have an ego and that you're all knowing. You're voicing your opinion. You're making it clear. And if someone doesn't like it, just like Michelle's channel, it's like, then go watch something else. But this is my opinion, and it's aggressive, which does stand out. People don't like you get lost in the middle, so you have to be extreme to stand out. And when the message has good intention, it's going to come across right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Crystal and I always talk about is like, let's just make sure we're correct. Like that's the thing. Like, it's hard to argue that. Like, because then they're just labeled with then they're just labeled, or they're just left with like the labels they can put on us. Like we try really, really hard. Like we like Crystal and I study every day. I mean, we're weight loss coaches. We study weight loss every day. Like I'm really right now looking at like how certain amino acids will help food addiction and stuff like that. Like that's one of our big topics right now that Crystal and I are talking about. We're going to make a bunch of videos about it too. Like where like tryptophan is a big thing. We were talking about it yesterday on your thing, where tryptophan is a big thing that people don't understand. And then what happens is they go on a crash diet that's lower in tryptophan and it causes it to be even worse, And that to me is where the science just is getting lost, So obese people have it bad on both ends, where like the science of weight loss is not helping them because it's being hidden by these 6-minute secrets and blah 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 blah. Whereas then they also have people on the other end who take it, who are upset. Man, I really do believe it started from people being just pissed off because I've tried to lose weight every fucking way. They by every way, they mean they've tried 4 or 5 ways. And instead of having in some way having them, keep trying more, they just give the fuck up. Right. And, I know Dash, you deal, you have a lot of clients too. Crystal, I'm going to ask both of you. Crystal, because Crystal and I have our own clients too, so it's like it might be a little different for those. But what is the hardest thing you've heard? Like when people come to us for help, what's the hardest thing you've heard about how? And obviously we're not going to share names around like that, but the hardest thing you've heard for them, like that they have to overcome in order to start losing weight.
For a lot of people, it's giving up food items that they feel like they need. Like they have somehow convinced themselves that they need fruit or they need to eat, cake or ice cream or whatever it is. They've been doing it for so long and they just can't imagine their life without it. And they think that that's like their source of happiness and their way of coping with things. And just talking to them about not eating those things anymore upsets them and they feel like they're ready to quit before they even start.
Dash, same thing.
Can you just repeat the question one more time?
When people have come to you to try to get in shape or try to get in shape or like have the hardest, like you're trying to lose weight, what's the most difficult thing they've had to overcome, like you've had to help them overcome?
What I focus on the most is what I hear a lot of is the support. Their support system sucks. And I know from a lot of personal experience, just with like friends and family, that if you have any kind of like addictions and if you have any kind of, weaknesses, it's people around you that are enabling. And we see this from these like TV shows like 600 Pound Life. You have the people that are their husband or boyfriend that just literally, or feeding, they're just feeding and pumping food into their system. Like, if you're 600 pounds, you're not making your own food. Someone's bringing it to you. So what's going on? And it's not the delivery guy all the time. So, that's where I try to really focus, because we've talked about it at length too, bench pressing, curls, squats, cardio, even things like yoga. It's commoditized. You go to a studio, you can use your service. I have yoga studio on my side. It's like, okay, but yoga is yoga. Some people like to do it in a studio, some people don't. It's exercise is exercise. If you're moving more than you're sitting, it's going to be a good thing. So
that's right.
If you have people around you that are going to encourage you, and that's the benefit of having this like little virtual world. Some people say it's fake. I think social media is amazing if you use it for amazing things. If you use it for bad, it's going to suck. It's like anything else. You have a car, it's great if you go to the store. If you run people over, it's not a good thing. Same thing with guns, like anything. It's like, it's how you use it.
Damn, I love that.
Yeah. Shit. So it's like, so the community is really, I get a lot of like kids that their parents don't want to feed them right. And they're on Instagram and they're not trying to take butt selfies. They're like, I want to lose weight. I'm inspired by your page. I follow you and Alan. Like I get these messages all the time. and their parents don't want to buy healthy food, or they said, they can't, I'm forced to eat this. What should I do? And what do you tell a kid that? And we're talking about Weight Watchers. Like, what do you tell a 14-year-old that wants to be healthier and they don't have, their family doesn't care? And then not to mention 30, 40-year-olds that have known nothing different their entire life. So whoever's, creating that nice framework around someone is usually a huge issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think I even made a video about like how if in order to get healthy, sometimes you have to change everything about like your life. Meaning like not necessarily for a food addict, they need to change everything about their life. If you're addicted to a certain type of food, that means that's the food you're eating all the time. You're probably going to need to change that, no matter what. And it's a huge, huge, huge thing, especially like sugar. Sugar seems like we're running into more and more and more sugar addicts as our business grows, like full blown, like chemical dependency on sugar, like where when they stop, they actually have withdrawal, But I think the biggest thing is like they have to like lose their friends because they identify with other people their size, and I think that gets us into like the fat acceptance stuff. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to have Crystal on today was because people hear all the time, like me, you, Michelle, even Obese the Beast, talk about it and all of that. But I thought it would be interesting from Crystal's perspective, because Crystal, you can tell them more about your story because it's your story to tell. When it comes to like how you are with food. But I think that people misunderstand how we're not trying to shame anybody, but we're trying, like the fat acceptance movement at its core is defeating because it creates a community of people that are just willing to accept just being overweight. And that in itself is an inherently unhealthy thing. So Crystal, you want to talk, like they've heard, Dash talk about it and me talk about it a lot. But do you want to tell them a little bit on your thought process of it too? Because I think that people just assume, because how both Dash and I talk, that it's like this comes from this place of spite. So since you don't talk like me, and by the way, I'm so lucky she married me. But since you don't talk like me, do you want to give your insight on your thoughts on it?
Yeah. So like, I want to help people get healthy and stay healthy. It doesn't really have anything to do with shaming anyone, whether they're overweight or underweight. Either way, you're not healthy. And, there was a time in my life where I was extremely underweight, and it became part of my identity because, one, it started out where like it was how I dealt with stress. It was my form of control, is I had no control over nothing except for how much I ate. And so I didn't eat enough. And then, there was a time in my life where that I didn't have enough food. And so it became easy for me to not eat then too, because it was already how I dealt with stress anyway. And so I continued to get underweight. That's not healthy. And I was able to pull myself out of that and get healthy. And now I make sure that I eat right and I eat enough and I work out and I do all the things that I need to do to be healthy. And I just want to help other people do the same, whether they're overweight or underweight.
Right. Like I think the hard thing is people just want to, you and I talk about it a lot, and we've all talked about it. Like, this is not an aesthetic thing. Like Crystal and I talk about it all the time. Like, what if I go blind? She's gonna be the most beautiful woman to me to ever, no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, the person you love, it should be the person you love for who they are. And you should want that person to be around as long as possible. And I really just think that like it's gotten so misconstrued. Like, they want to be as happy as possible and are willing to sacrifice their long-term health. They want to be as happy as they possibly can right then, I think. Where it's like, this makes me happy immediately. This donut, I might feel like shit after I eat it, but right now, immediately, this donut is going to make this slice of pizza or whole pizza, this sugary item makes me happy. So I want to be happy right now because they don't think or see that they can get healthy. I think that, again, like Crystal and I talk about a lot, where the fitness community has really let people down to a great degree. And all you motherfuckers that have come before us, fuck each and every one of you. Because in reality, you're I made a video about it. And Crystal was in the room and I was just going, I forget, what were you and I talking about that I was like, I'm going to make a video. And I just fucking popped up into the studio and I just fucking went off about how the fitness community was responsible for the fat acceptance community. You said, like, honey, I asked you first last time. Dash, you go first about your thoughts on that. And then Crystal, you can go in.
Just on fat acceptance in general?
Well, no, like the responsibility of the fitness community for it.
Oh, well, that it kind of goes both ways. It's interesting because when you put a video out there, it's kind of like the FDA where you say, all right, well, we're not going to approve all this shit. We're going to leave it up to the consumer to make their own decisions. And it's like, well, that's really awesome because I'm able to make my own decisions. Like I'm one of those people that thinks that most everything should be legal and people can make their own decisions. You could have a free, of course, you don't want to have people running around like on PCP and cocaine all the time. That would be not a good thing. But when it comes to supplements, I like if I have a choice, I want to, but I'm educated, I'm intelligent enough to realize what I'm purchasing, how to research it, how to look it up. And I have a better, I guess, template in which to make a decision. So most people don't know that. So they just go and buy anything that the guy at GNC tells them to. So when it comes to, fat acceptance and the fitness industry, when you have a lot of people following, there's kind of like this gray area threshold where when you have 100 people following, it's like, okay, you can say all sorts of crazy shit and no one's listening, so no one cares. Just like we were talking about, like when, now that you have a lot of followers and my following count is growing, it's like, well, does your message change because now you're on the radar? Because things start to get, blocky or people start getting more offended just because of the numbers. If you talk to 10 million people, there's a higher percentage of idiots in the room that are going to get offended rather than if you talk to 100, there might be one. So it's more or less a responsibility. If you want to keep your voice, if you want to keep your platform, you have to earn someone's respect. You have to earn someone's trust. You have to provide information that people actually want. And you have to not, I guess, underhand your audience, because a lot of people are just pandering to whatever's trending. And as much as you can say people are sheep, they're not. The audience can sense those little nuances of when people sell out. They're much more savvy to people that do sponsorships on YouTube and Instagram. And when they're little coupon codes, you might not think it's a big deal, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're getting paid for this and they don't really trust you as much. So the more people you have, it's just going to amplify your message and the reaction. So if it's not coming from an authentic place, it's going to cause problems. And we've seen that with a lot of people, that we both made videos on.
Crystal?
I think a lot of times with people that are in the fitness industry, we focus on doing, flashy things that we think are going to get people's attention in order to be successful. And then we don't pay enough attention to educating ourselves and learning all the different things that there are. I mean, the knowledge that you need for fitness, it's always changing and adapting, and we learn more about nutrition and things like that all the time. So it's really important to constantly educate yourself and then not be ashamed or afraid to say you don't know something. A lot of times I find that people in the fitness industry will just kind of like fake it until they make it, and I don't agree with that. If you don't know something, you have to tell the person and be like, I don't know enough about that to help you. Let me educate myself on it, and then I can help you.
You're both yogis. So how fucked up is yoga on Instagram? Crystal, you're up.
Well, it kind of goes back to what I was saying about just doing flashy things to get people's attention. For me, it's not my style to like brag and boast about things that I can do, because I don't find that that's beneficial to people. And my goal is to help people. So my focus is more on yoga basics and alignment and truly helping people, and not so much on showing people I can stand on my head.
Dash?
I mean, we can talk about in terms of people doing fancy yoga stuff for a nice Instagram picture. I mean, that's kind of like OG Instagram. Like, oh, if I do a nice little, bow pose on a fountain, it looks great. And then you have like downward dog and thongs. So it's like, it goes both ways in terms of like what you're trying to, everyone just wants attention. That's what the game is. That's what likes and hearts and shares and stuff. And a lot of people don't have any substance. So they're just scratching at the surface, and that's what's eroding like mental health when it comes to social media, is that when, like for you have a business, you have intent, you have a purpose. Crystal, the same thing, myself, the same thing, James, Michelle, like we have this underlying reason for doing it. So when we get a negative comment, it's like, well, fuck you too. Like I don't care. I could not care less. I'll see it. Maybe I'll respond if I'm, in the moment, I'm like, well, man, I'll leave something snarky. And most of the time I don't look at those comments on YouTube and stuff anyway. So, if you have
YouTube comments are content for content for my Instagram.
You know,
I leave the smart ass comment, screenshot it, put it over.
I'm starting to do that in my stories more because YouTube, it's delicious when you get the comments. Like yesterday, people were furious that I was wearing a shirt. They're like, "Oh my God, you're wearing a shirt! What the hell's going on? Where are those nips?" That's why I have like free the nips on the background. It's like you don't wear a shirt enough, then people are upset when you cover up. But no, that was just kind of a little joke. But yeah.
Why don't you ever wear a shirt?
I didn't, because it's hot as shit down here. And for a while, like in the last couple months, got a brand new AC unit, like, because the one that was in the, no, literally, like the one that was in the closet was completely old and just not putting out, not cooling off enough. So got like an extra large unit that's more than what the place needs. And now it's just super efficient and bumping. So now it's freezing all the time. So now I'm like, no shirt on. I'm like, oh God. So now I just forget sometimes I have a shirt on. Cause it used to be just, I would work out and I'd be sweating and, I don't know. I used to do it on the porch. I used to do my podcast on the porch at noon every day. So once it got to May, I was just dripping sweat. I'm like, well, this isn't going to work anymore. So I need a different setup, and then just progressions.
Michelle's in the comments. So Michelle, if you want to join in, you're more than welcome at any given time. And we'll make sure Dash doesn't put you. That you can put me, my ugly ass, behind the fucking comments this time.
Oh, she's here. So, no, I'll go by. I'm covered by the comments now, apparently.
Well, if you could put me, I'm the ugliest person here, clearly. So, I mean, like, we can just put my bald ass behind there. So.
Does she want to jump in?
I don't know.
Is she texting me, or she might be at the gym watching?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Michelle, let us know. So, now, I thought we would, and Crystal doesn't know we're going to talk about this, but Tess Holiday. We both, everybody's made videos about her except for Tess Holiday. Crystal, like, when you and I talk about her, me and you have pretty interesting conversation. Like, so, I want you to like be as blunt as possible about me and everything like that with it. But let's talk about why you wish she was who she appears to be.
Yeah, I think I have a different viewpoint when it comes to Tess Holiday, because I really wish that she was the person that she kind of like tries to portray herself to be. Like, I love that she is who she is, if that's who she really was, you know what I mean? Like the things that she stands up for and says, this isn't right, when it comes to human rights and things like that. Like, I wish we had someone that really truly believed in those things, that had a voice, that would step forward and stick up for people that don't have as loud of a voice, that no one's listening to them. I really wish that was the case. And sometimes I kind of go back and forth because I want her to be that so much. I find myself wanting to defend her, but then I see the other things that she does and says, and then it's like, okay, reality sinks in, and I realize that she's not really the person that she's trying to portray herself to be half the time. I really wish that she was.
I think what happens to me is it becomes obvious, like Dash will make a video about her, or Michelle will, or I will, or she'll take heat in the press for something that she's said or done, and all of a sudden her content completely changes to I'm either very depressed or she talks about human rights a lot more and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think that's where I really have had the issue. It's like, I wish that there was for so many reasons, I wish that people were able to just speak out and do all sorts of stuff, and speak about the topics that I think need to be spoken about. I really, really do. Like, I mean, human rights is a big thing around the world. Like, people don't understand it. People are so, especially in America, we're so closed. It's they're closed off. It's hard, like in America, and to me, I want people to be open-minded and think about things, but at the same right, I think that she's a totally manipulative fool. Now, Fat Topia, let's get to that real quick. I have seen some crazy people talking crazy shit about the documentary. I've even seen people trade their morals, because I will post some screenshots I have later on today of people who like literally are just going and giving the documentary a negative review without even watching it, saying all sorts of shit. To me, that's fucked up. Like when you are so close-minded that you'll lie about something just to try to get your point across. That's crazy. Crystal, you watched it. What were your thoughts on it? Your honest thoughts?
I thought it was interesting how, he was trying to actually ask these people in the fat acceptance movements their opinion, and instead of like having an intelligent conversation, it was like they were trying to shut the conversation down instead of allowing there to be open dialogue where, I'm going to say what I think, then you tell me what you think, and kind of go back and forth. They just wanted to shut down the conversation. They didn't want to talk about it. And I found that the most interesting part about it.
Now, because I think I think the biggest thing for me when I watched it was, because I'm used to that a little bit more. I think, I'm used to hear, like, they don't want to hear me because I'm a lot more on the social media side of our businesses than Crystal is, But what I found to be crazy is like how just it was a perfect showing of nobody can come to the table. I think that we do a good job, Crystal and I do, and Dash, I think you do a good job too, Michelle, of let's just stop the bullshit. Like, let's just get the facts, let's give people the information they need to get healthy. Like, we're addicted to food, everyone like that. Dash, you're a big proponent of the elimination diet, which I think is a great tool for food addiction. I really do. I think it's a perfect tool to help people get their shit right, help reduce inflammation and figure out the stuff that actually is hurting them. Crystal, a bunch of people are saying you have cat ears because it looks like the cat's ears are right behind you. It's hilarious.
That was good.
She's the devil. She's not. She's like this. She is the most absorbently sweet person ever. I think. Like I still people.
This is like the yin and yang, bro.
People have got to be like, what the fuck? I try to make her laugh. Guys, that if you can do anything, make them laugh, But I think that to a certain part, food addiction is so prevalent in our society that they don't want to they don't want to like see it in themselves. Like, nobody wants to admit they have an addiction. You'll hear about alcoholics admitting it is the hardest part, right? Nobody wants to admit they have an addiction. So people are addicted to food, and Crystal and I, Crystal, you want to talk a little bit about sugar addiction and what you've seen out of people, like the justifications and everything like that. And then Dash, I want you to talk about like how you approach the elimination diet too. But Crystal, go ahead.
Yeah, so I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Like, someone that has an addiction to sugar, if you try to talk to them about eliminating that from their diet, they get very anxious and upset, and they just want to shut down the conversation. They don't even want to talk about it because they feel like they need it. And that's one of the true, showings that you have an addiction is when you can't imagine your life without something, like really seriously can't imagine your life without it, and you can't imagine like cutting back on it at all, not even for a day, then you really need to take a serious, close look at what you're doing to yourself.
Yeah. I mean, there's true science behind sugar addiction, like, that people don't understand it. Like, there's people are addicted to the fructose. I mean, they really are. And the reason why is because they're actually addicted to the dopamine response from the fructose. And people don't see that. That's why when people say, just eat intuitively, your body, like, addicts will make all sorts of fucking excuses to get what they want. If you can't get somebody off of cocaine, and if they're willing to sacrifice their entire life for it, telling somebody to just eat that is 350, 400 pounds, that loves cake, that got that way from eating cake, to eat cake, to me, that's fucking dangerous, So, Dash, how do you talk about like why you are a big proponent of the elimination diet? Because that's actually a tool that Crystal and I use fairly often too.
Well, it comes down to quality over quantity first for me. And for a long time, I've changed my verbiage on it just because, like many things, you have the fat acceptance and this intuitive eating bullshit kind of crossing over. I'm like, well, I don't want to be associating people to get, the streams crossed, because I have
right.
like all these classes, stop counting calories, X, Y, and Z, and stop counting calories sounds like what everyone else is pushing with just intuitive eating, but that's not the approach. I talk about the elimination, which for anyone that doesn't know, it's just you can do extreme, you can do minor. It's just the process of removing certain foods for a certain time period to essentially let your body reset so you can test. It's like it's how a scientist would do a test. You don't eat dairy for 2 months, and then when you have a piece of cheese, you wait 24, 48 hours and you see, did you go to the bathroom like all night long? Did you have migraines? Did you feel like shit? Because you obviously the only thing you've changed is adding cheese back in. So it's, the more you do it or the more you clean out, the more you can test. Now, I'm not going to be a fool and say that it's right for everyone. Some people love to be analytical. Some people love to count and to check things off. Some people love MyFitnessPal. They love to see the little bars fill up. Then guess what? Then it's not the best approach to go this way first. Maybe you want to count calories, but it doesn't discount the fact that quality matters. So I like to push quality first because I think when you're counting macros and you're still eating Snickers, that you're missing the point because you're still feeding yourself fucking drugs. Like if you're an alcoholic, but I'm still just having a drink a day. Like how does that make sense? I know it's an extreme, but it's really not when you look at
that big.
it's ridiculous. So, when you're a kid, you want to eat, oh, I want the cookie. And your mom says, no cookies. When you're an adult, no one's telling you that. So you just stuff your face. Human nature doesn't change. So if you're taught properly when you're young, okay. But when you get older, people just don't have that self-control because because we do have that kind of freedom. We do have that ability to go and purchase whatever. No one's telling you what to do. So you have to learn, and it's called fucking discipline. For God's sake, it's called discipline, and people don't have it because the companies that make billions of dollars, why would Nestle want you to have discipline when they're trying to get you 2-for-1 Oreos? Like they want you to buy more because it makes them money. And it's literally about money. When you equate it down to that, I don't know where the confusion is.
The interesting thing about, you just brought up Oreos, and we were talking about before, Oreos have so much sodium in them. Nobody would imagine that because they don't taste salty at all.
I'll look it up.
I mean, they don't have taste salty at all, but they apparently have a ton of sodium in them, and it's just like the salt, sweet, fatty shit. It's like this formula that they have to get people addicted to food. I mean, it truly is. They're designed like anybody that doesn't actually believe. This is not a conspiracy theory. Like they design food for you to want to eat the fucking food, like for as much of it as you fucking can. I mean, it's so common fucking sensical.
I got this here, not to cut you out, but it says this is on Nutrition IX, and it says Oreo cookies for 3 cookies, 135 milligrams of sodium.
That's fucking high. And it really is
for 3. Who eats 3 fucking Oreos?
Oh, people eat it by the sleeve.
And 14 grams of sugar, by the way.
Oh.
1 gram of 1 gram of fiber though, so we're good.
Yeah, you're killing it there.
Getting my fiber. And no cholesterol, so it's healthy. It's a cholesterol-free food.
And that's how it's marketed. Cholesterol-free. Crystal, what's your biggest hang-up when we go to the grocery store on labeling?
When it says like now with real cheese or something like that. Like,
thank you.
If the food should be real, when did it become commonplace to eat fake food? And then, companies brag about it when it's not completely fake. Yay.
Thank you.
Made with real cheese.
It really does. Like either that or now all natural. Well, I fucking hope it's a fucking potato. It's crazy to me.
They skirt the issues with that so bad. They play with that. Made with natural and artificial ingredients, and they put that in big letters. People don't read the second part of that, natural and artificial, and most people don't even understand what the leeway when you put natural. Oh my God, everything in this world is natural, even if it's chemically created because it's made from something natural on Earth. And if you look at like the actual laws, it's shocking when you look at the laws of how they have to actually label things. They take every single liberty. If there's not a certain amount, they don't have to list it. And it's bad. I mean, Oreos, like we said, is like 60% carbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to me, the crazy shit is when like they actually purposefully manipulate the words, like all natural, organic, blah 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 blah. Just eat fucking vegetables. You know what I mean? Like try to eat it with as little pesticides on it as possible. I mean, and that's what I look for is like I want as little chemicals touching my food as possible. And I mean, I always hear everybody like, well, everything is a chemical. You know what I'm fucking talking about? Like toxic chemicals, you bitches.
God, I had this person's face just popped in my head right when you said that.
Yeah, everything's a chemical. You know what? Yes, everything is a fucking chemical, but some of it happens to actually fucking hurt us. You know, like, I mean, I can't stand that shit. I can't stand that shit. I mean, it's the fucking semantics of shit. You know, like, you know, okay, so now you're saying like that, you know, everything's a chemical, so everything's okay. That's the same. It's the same. That's the fucking same shit that you get by food is food. Your body knows what it wants to eat. Like, your body does not know what it wants to eat when food is no longer food. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I mean, if you're saying like my body is craving a potato, I fucking believe you. If you say my body is craving a Big Mac, I don't believe you, because that shit's a fucking that shit's barely fucking food, barely fucking food. You know, I mean, it's crazy. It's like the fucking, we're talking, Dash, you brought up kids. We're going to go around the horn, and I'll go last. Crystal, Weight Watchers for kids.
Obviously, I don't think it's a good idea. I'm not a fan of Weight Watchers. I'm not a fan of foods being 0 points. And I've worked with clients that are on Weight Watchers, and they always hit a plateau where they just can't move past it, and it's because they're eating these 0 point foods, and instead of looking at calories in versus calories out, you can only work out so much with so much intensity, and there's going to come to a point where you really have to examine what you're eating and how much of it. And so it's the same thing for kids too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there are no 0 calorie foods except for water. You know, I mean, if there's something in it, there's something, like, even if it's just like that Mio shit or Crystal Light, like, there's stuff in it. It's going in your body. Where are they going? What are they doing? You can pull up any one study that shows, well, it didn't cause anything in rats. Doesn't matter. Like, I mean, these foods, these things are going in our body. And that's why, again, and I'll touch on the app and the Weight Watchers thing in a second, but that's why the elimination's important, because all these cells in our body, everything, you're not getting like nutrients. You're not a breatharian. You're not getting nutrients from air. If you can, you're creating cells. You're repairing. You're giving energy. You're giving, like, it's all by what goes in your mouth. That's it. So whatever you're putting in is what your body is building itself off of, and it comes down to, like, from skin quality to energy. It's all about the food, and that's what pisses me off when people are just, you know, going after calorie counting. It's like, fine, have your 400 calories of Snickers because it's the same as a sweet potato. It's like, get the fuck out of here. And in terms of Weight Watchers is a joke. It always has been a joke to anyone in the fitness industry. Sure, it's helped some people, but when you eat less, finally, after, you know, who knows how long, okay, it can help someone. But it's not something that's sustainable, because if you just follow the bouncing ball, you're not learning and educating yourself. Again, that's why I like the elimination, because you're actually learning and taking the driver's seat of your own life and your own nutrition. So when you have control and you have power and you can make those decisions, if you go out to eat, you can look at the menu. Oh, this gives me diarrhea. This gives me gas. This gives me migraines. Oh, I'll eat this instead. Wow, shocking. You kind of pay attention to your body. And in terms of the kids, an app is not like, it's always going to, it sounds shitty. I think the intent, I'm not going to say the intent is good. I think it's a good idea that kids are not obese. However, it comes down to the parents, and it's like, you have to educate your kids. And if you feed them right, if you feed them vegetables and real food, no one, and that's why I always say, you don't have to count, even if you have to count calories, it's so hard to overeat when you're eating whole food. And that's why people don't build muscle. That's why they don't bulk. That's why they dirty bulk, because people don't realize, oh, when you have a piece of steak and a big sweet potato and broccoli, that's like 400 calories, 500 calories, a massive meal. You'll be stuffed to the brim, 400 or 500 calories. Try eating that 6 times a day. That's why people don't gain weight, because they don't realize you have to eat when you're full to bulk. So when you're eating healthy food, it's just easier to manage your calories. So if you go after quality first and then you observe the calorie intake, chances are you're going to be like really, really low.
Excellent fucking points. Excellent fucking points. You know, my thought process is this. First of all, society in general is giving Weight Watchers an opportunity to make money off our fucking children. Period. And Dash, this would be hard for you to know, but Crystal and I were always amazed that when our child would come home from high school, he was like, well, I had pizza today for lunch, again and again and again and again and again. They give these kids these fast food options. Mm-hmm. Pizza, French fries, chicken tenders, cheeseburgers are a daily menu. They're on the daily fucking menu at almost every high school in the fucking country. When I grew up back in the Stone Ages, and no, by the way, no people, I did not marry somebody half my age. But
that's what yoga does for you.
That's what yoga does. Thank you very much. But in reality, when I grew up, there was like one or two things on the menu. They made it fresh or like that. Now it's just fast food processed into the high schools and grade schools and everything like that. So they use just this type of terminology we were just talking about, where they skirt around the issues with food. Like they count pizza as a vegetable. They really do. They count pizza as a serving of vegetables so they can get the fuck away with it. It's just fucking pathetic. So they have left it open for Weight Watchers to take advantage of that and make money from your children. They really fucking have. No physical education in school anymore. So no home ec is very rarely taught. So these kids enter society not knowing how to cook, not knowing how to work out, because basic physical fitness should be taught in every fucking school. We are supposed to prepare our children for life. Kids come out of high school not knowing how to balance a checkbook, not knowing how to fucking cook, not knowing how to fucking do so many fucking things, including take care of themselves physically. Like, if you're a child, if you're a male or female child, if you are a parent of a male or female kid, and they don't know how to adequately have physical fitness, like adequately work out in the way they like to work out, either play a sport or do something like that. If they don't know how to fucking do that, if your school's not going to teach them, it's your fucking responsibility to fucking do so. You fucking teach them. Our son knew how to cook when he was 6. Like 6. I will never forget, like, he served me, because I was still working in the food industry at the time, and one time he served me breakfast in bed for Father's Day, and it was like a pyramid of pancakes. Like, where he made a pancake, and then a smaller pancake, and a smaller pancake, smaller pancake. He was like fucking 7 years old, and he made homemade whipped cream and shit like that. I fucking took a picture of it and showed it to my fucking workers. Like, this is what shit should look like, motherfuckers. Because we taught him how to cook, because we realized he wasn't going to learn it anyplace else. So now he's an adult and can functionally cook. It saves him money. It saves him time. It saves him so fucking much that, it saves him. It could save his life, because he can cook food. Instead of depending on fast food. Right now, we have let our children down so much in society that Weight Watchers is going to clean up on them. And you know what they're going to teach them? They're going to teach them that some foods don't matter. You can eat however much you want of them, because they're going to have 0-point foods. And again, there is nothing 0 point. And to a certain degree, like Dash, you and I agree that water, and Crystal, I know you agree too, that water is kind of a 0-point thing because it has 0 calories and it's good for hydration. But water, if it still has fucking additives in it, which a lot of fucking water does, is still a fucking problem. It can still fuck you up, And that is the fucking crazy shit to me. The crazy shit to me is like, we are allowing this shit to happen, totally fucking allowing people in some way to fucking manipulate society and their children to make money. People always argue, and we've talked about this before, and Crystal and I have long conversations about this. YouTube, everybody says, is like left wing. They're about money. We talked about it yesterday. They're about money. They have every fast food commercial on the fucking planet happens on here. And by the way, if you're a left wing person because most fat acceptance people consider themselves left wing, if you really think that industry is not making you feel this way, you're addicted to industry. That is not woke, motherfuckers. You are not woke at all. If you can't say no to pizza, you're not fucking woke. If you can't say no to fucking McDonald's, you're not fucking woke. Woke is educating yourself to realize to the point where you are actually fucking addicted to food. So that was I got my little rant and I feel better.
It's like high school, man. People want to be part of a club. People want to be accepted. Literally, fat acceptance, anything. Like, that's why all these social groups, because social media has given, before you had to, if you wanted to rally or you wanted to get a group of people, you had to put up flyers and you had to go to a place and hang out or go sit somewhere and talk and, picket and stuff. Now all you got to do is create a Facebook group and start hashtagging, and then boom, you got a group. That's why there's so many different factions. It comes down to the parents. Parents used to have to train their kids to farm, to hunt, to do the stuff. Now they have to teach their kids how to farm and hunt in the supermarket and to ignore a lot of this other bullshit and lead by example. An app's not going to change a goddamn thing. When I went to school, there was Subway and Domino's. There was Subway and Domino's in the lunchroom, and I would bring my lunch, and kids every day would have a Subway sandwich. So it's not conducive, but it comes down to the parents. The schools are completely fucked. The The government, in terms of like the FDA and food, are fucked. Pharmacy is fucked. You can't wait for them to pass down legislation like, oh, eat this. It's going to be 10, 20 years too late because there's no incentive for them to do that. They're lobbyists. They're lobbied by all these big corporations. So if it doesn't happen with us on YouTube channels, and it's a great thing to get a message from a 14-year-old, like, I want to be healthier, even if their parents aren't, like, even if it's another 4 or 5 years until they leave the house, like, they have this seed planted in their head. If their parents aren't going to parent them, I will with my YouTube content. Like, I'm fine with it. You know, they're not doing the fucking job. And like you said yesterday on my podcast, you know, it's not easy to admit it. We're not going to stop fighting it, but we're definitely losing. And when you have 2/3 of the population that's overweight, it's not a slam dunk. Like, it's sliding down fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's even higher than that. Like the
yeah, those are the stats. I mean,
yeah. And if anybody thinks, and this is reality, if anybody thinks that there is any interest by anybody to try to stop obesity, here's a fucking flash for you. Like, we talk about the obesity epidemic often. All three of us, four of us, you know, if Michelle were here, and you know, everybody else, a lot of people are now, which is fucking great. You know, people need to really fucking talk about the diabetes epidemic. I mean, because that's a fucking real issue. And if the reason why it does not get spoken about is because there is so fucking much money tied up in the treatment of diabetes, like so fucking much. I mean, it is truly an amazing amount of money that gets tied up in it, because they get insurance companies make money off of it. The manufacturers of the you know, supplies make money off it. So many people make money off the diabetes industry, because that's what it is, an industry, that the more people are diabetic, the better. I mean, that's so the sugar industry and that industry really are in it together. They're really fucking in it together. And whether they admit it or not, or whether they even realize it or not, they're fucking in it together, you know? Like, Crystal, you know, how many people do you think we hear that have, like, they don't even realize it, but when we talk to them, what do you think is the rationale behind sugar? Like, we have, go ahead, just like let people know how horrible it is, because you don't eat sugar at all.
No,
pretty
not
much.
really. I don't really eat sugar. I don't even really eat much fruit. I try to stick more to lean proteins and vegetables, and potatoes, rice, things like that. So it's very interesting to me when we talk to people daily that are just like, they can't imagine their life without fruit and, you know, desserts and things that are really, really sweet. And we have to help them, like, cut that stuff out of their life to the point where they have withdrawals from it. They suffer physically from not having that sugar, and we have to, like, help them work their way through it, and to help them not justify in their own minds why, when they try to find other sources of sugar, because they do, because they're addicted to it and they're having withdrawals, and so their body and their mind is searching for ways that they can justify having that sugar. It's really, it just blows my mind every day, that, you know, and I'm so thankful that we are doing something about it, and we're trying to help people, and we're educating ourselves daily on how to better help people in these situations, because I don't think there's enough help out there.
Yeah, a lot of people in the comments are like, what's wrong with fruit? Here's the thing. One piece of fruit, there's not that much wrong with it. One piece of fruit is actually can be kind of healthy for you. But the problem is, when somebody's addicted to sugar, it's not one piece of fruit. You know, I mean, that's the thing. It's just not. It's multiple pieces of fruit, you know?
Yeah, and I'm not saying anything bad about fruit. I eat fruit. I just don't eat it all of the time. I'm not as big into sweets as, you know, other people are. So, you know, I have that to my advantage. But even still, like, it is still high in sugar. So I make sure if I have fruit that I have a piece of fruit or a serving. I don't overdo it, because still eating a lot of sugar is not good for you, even if it is in the form of fruit. Fruit is better because it has fiber with it, and your body can process it better than refined sugars, for sure. But it's still not something you want to overdo. Just like anything else, it has to be in moderation.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, people, when you're addicted to sugar, people don't understand. When you're addicted to sugar, people will find, like, they'll use that and they'll eat it over and over again. And what happens is if they're addicted to sugar, eventually they just give in to the cravings, and the sugar leads them to having something else, you know?
Notice how no one's talking about being addicted to fat or protein.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, healthy fats are important. Like, they really, really, really are. Like, I'm not saying you should have tons of crazy fats, but that's something we talk about all the time. Like, we prioritize carbohydrates last. Like when we talk to clients, like Crystal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that when it comes to food addiction, people aren't getting addicted to protein and fats. They're getting addicted to processed flours and processed sugars. It's bread and pizza and cakes and things like that. That's what people are getting addicted to. And it's because of their body's physical reaction to eating those food items.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like, I mean, we try to, I don't ever want to like actually like say I like go like I don't believe in labeling myself like I'm going to go keto or anything like that. But I eat very low carbohydrates often. Like, I mean, if it's I'm going to eat it. Like, if I have a beautiful piece of salmon, fresh wild caught salmon, and if there's plenty of it, chances are that's going to be the majority of everything I eat. I might have a sweet potato with it or something like that, something super low. People don't understand. Sweet potatoes are actually low carbohydrate. People, it's not some sort of huge carby thing. I mean, I think that people are so convinced that if they don't have like a bunch of carbohydrates in a day that they're just going to fucking die, shit like that, But I mean,
times that's their addiction talking. You know what I mean? They'll convince themselves that they can't have potatoes, but then they'll eat lots of other carbs, and then they convince themselves that they need more carbs. They're not getting enough. And that's why. It's because that's what they want. Yeah.
It's this thing where it's like they find a way no matter what. Like, I mean, I'll eat. I get most of my carbohydrates honestly from like vegetables. I don't do fruit very often. But that's because I'm also the type of person where I can sit down and smash like a pint of ice cream, like done, easily, and it's something I found about myself. Like, the less I have of sugary stuff, the easier it is for me to maintain my eating, So what do you think is, we've been on for close to an hour, so I didn't want to be on too long because I want people to actually watch this motherfucker. But we're going to go around the table. If you could change one thing to get people healthier, one thing about the world around us, if there were one piece of information, what would you do? Crystal, you're up.
Oh my gosh. I wish that we didn't have fast food and it's fake food, in my opinion, in such abundance. I think it is the reason why we have the epidemic that we have right now with obesity, is because of all of this fake food. It is more common and more readily available than real food. And I just think that's insane. So that is what I would change if I could change anything.
I'm going to kind of piggyback on that because obviously it's not one thing that could ever change. But if you literally, and you kind of touched upon it earlier, and we talked about like life skills, if people were required, like let's say there was no, like there were supermarkets, but like you had to make your own food. You had to prepare it. Like you had to, like everything had to be cooked. It would be less convenient to eat. It would be like the way it always has been. Food is in too much abundance. Scarcity is a good thing. Like, think about how good scarcity is. If when you have less friends, you appreciate what you have. Like when you almost lose something, you're like, oh man, I almost didn't have, the love of my life, or I almost like broke my phone. Even if it's a material thing, like you appreciate what you don't have, or it's appreciating your life and appreciating the value of the things in your life. And when there's so much abundance, it's just like people are just eating out of, again, habit. And when it's so accessible, it's so ubiquitous, I drive to the highway and there's every single possible food choice, from Pollo Tropical to Taco Bell, McDonald's, everything on the way. There's probably 50 or 60 places to get food, including supermarkets. And I'm like, who the hell would go there? Everyone goes there. Everyone goes there because people don't have time. They're overworked. I think if you cooked your own food, if you just made your own food, you didn't eat out, period. Everything you ate was in the house, it would solve a lot of the issues, because just the labor of making food and how much you're going to eat and the value and the quality of the food. Of course, you can make junk food at home, but, take this with like a grain of salt. There's a theoretical idea, but I make my food at home because I know what goes in it. I know what I like. I make the food the way I like it. When people ask me to go out to eat, I just don't want to. I like my food. I like the way my food tastes because I make it that way. And I don't want to eat your oil covered shit from, I don't want to eat your steak from some steakhouse. Like, I like the way I make steak is better. That's the way I like it. So it's taking responsibility for your own food. If you make your own food, it's going to solve a lot of the issues. Some, at least.
I think one of the best things, social media is such a huge aspect in our lives right now. And I think that there needs to be a certain amount of responsibility. I saw recently that Instagram might do a thing where, like, if they might be able to flag fake information, like fake stuff. And I think that it's just really, really, really important. Like, I understand that people want to be able to have freedom of speech. I absolutely do. But when it gets to this stage where, I mean, we've reached a stage where people can just say shit and present it as true without it being true. And that is really damaging to people. Like, it really, really is. And it's been going on a lot longer than people think. It's been going on for decades now, where people can present certain shit that's like, oh, this is now healthy. Well, shut the fuck up, because no, it's not. I mean, like, they know it's not, but they say it's healthy. They know that certain activities are good. Like, they know certain activities are not super healthy for you, but they have them do it. They promote them as anyway. Like, they promote them as anyway. Like, running for an obese person, very not healthy. Like, if you're 350 pounds and somebody makes you run from that motherfucker, and then stop, and then fucking catch, then catch somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. I think that to a certain degree, the fitness industry needs to be much more regulated. I think that I would gladly pay extra and study extra, take whatever test they want me to take, or whatever would be needed to prove that I know what I'm talking about, because that's we were talking about it yesterday. I dare somebody from the Fat Acceptance Movement to come at me. I'd like to sit down and talk to any of you live. We could talk about facts and reality and feelings and emotions and everything like that. I really do think that, like, a lot of it plays into it, but your feelings don't change facts, at all. Like, they just don't. And you can very much not want to be treated like shit by people that are going to treat everybody like shit no matter what. You can very much do that, and you can perfectly, still accept the fact that you may not be physically healthy. That's the fucking reality, And I just wish that we got back to some sort of factual-based life, because nobody is now, and nobody wants to be. It's bad enough that the powers that be, or the government, or whoever, like, they lie. They all lie to us and are allowed to. They just do. Everybody, it's both sides. It's everything. People need to understand that. But now we just lie to each other. Like, you're pretty. Great, you're pretty. You're healthy. No, you're fucking not. I mean, like, that's a problem, So I just wish we could change that. That would be that. I wish we could get back to facts. But, and that's a huge portion of what Crystal and I do on YouTube, and we do with our clients and all like that. Dash, it's been awesome, man. I think the roundtables are a great thing to get people talking. I am going to openly invite other people that if they want to talk to you, I'd love to invite you back on the channel, because I would like to actually open the avenue up. And if anybody's watching this, I'm sure that the Fat Acceptance people are going to be watching the fuck out of this. Any of you can contact me, and I would be more than happy to have you on our channel, or on our channels, or whatever. I mean, I think that the Fitness Avengers are pretty open to that shit. As people were calling me Dash, and people don't understand that Crystal's like the mastermind behind everything. But I hope everybody had a good time, and you guys tell them where they can find you. Crystal, where they can find you.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. Damn Serenity Athletics online is my website, and that's where I provide classes.
Yeah. At Damn Serenity on Instagram.
That's what I was just about to say. Yes.
Yeah, I have we got the things underneath everyone's name, so we got the
sweet.
So everyone's been seeing that. And for me, the same thing, at Swolenormous. You could check out at Swolenormous here on YouTube, and also the Daily Swole podcast on YouTube as well. Going to be going live after this one. And Instagram, just at Swolenormous, you'll find my stuff.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. God damn.
Peace out. Bye.